You might suppose that if you heard a story about good news, about something good that was going to happen in the future long enough and often enough, that it would only reinforce your joy at seeing it come true. But that's certainly not the case in this scripture reading. Jesus himself is reading scripture to the people in his hometown. And he's reading about the day that God will come and set everything right, that God's justice will prevail and be real on earth. And everyone's comforted by that story. And Jesus rolls up the scroll and he looks them in the eye and says, "Today, this scripture has been fulfilled in your hearing. Right here, right now. Imagine." And they can't imagine it. They have a visceral, negative response to Jesus. They literally try to kill him. They run him out of town because they don't want to hear this good news. They can't believe that this ancient story could be a real, tangible story in their time. They lack imagination. They don't know what to do with the dream other than leave it on the shelf, bring it out, dust it off, and look at it every so often and put it back on the shelf. But Jesus had a different vision. Jesus had the perception to understand God's dream was real. Jesus asked them to imagine. Not as John Lennon asked us to imagine, that there is no heaven, but it's close. Jesus asked them to imagine that heaven is not as you've thought it was. Imagine that heaven is not some faraway place, but is here. Imagine that God's dream is real now. And yes, Lennon was right. You may say that I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. Perhaps someday you will join us, and the world will live as one. In that, he and Jesus would be in full agreement. If you have the eyes to see and the ears to hear, the spiritual perception to understand that God's kingdom has come and is just waiting for us to realize it, then yes, someday we will all live as one. For we truly are the dreamers of God's dream.